रनवे को अप्रोच कर रहा था, ये रनवे नहीं पकड़ पाया और उसके ठीक साइड में एक खाई है। कैमरा पर्सन अमर से कहूँगा कि एक बार फिर से मेरे तरफ आइए, क्योंकि ये यहाँ पर जो है ये एयर स्ट्रिप है और फिर इसके ठीक नीचे एक बड़ी सी खाई है। यहाँ पर देखिए, ये देखिए, ये अभी हेलीकॉप्टर यहाँ कुछ देर पहले आया था और अब ये वापस जा रहा है। और यहाँ से देखिए कि ये एयर स्ट्रिप के नीचे एक खाई पड़ी हुई है। अब उस खाई के नीचे देखिए किस तरीके की तस्वीरें हैं, वो बताएंगे हम आपको। अब आप देखिए, तो ये रनवे मिस कर देता है और रनवे मिस करने के बाद ये प्लेन यहाँ पर आके क्रैश कर जाता है। तो ये तस्वीर आप देखिए कि कैसे ये प्लेन रनवे मिस किया है और रनवे मिस करने के ठीक बाद ये राइट साइड में आपको ये जो पूरा मलबा दिख रहा है, देखिए पूरे 1 किलोमीटर और 2 किलोमीटर के दायरे में पूरी एरिया को कॉर्डिन ऑफ कर दिया है। और क्योंकि ये बहुत अहम यहाँ पर जो सुराग है वो लोग मिलेंगे, जो जांच ऑफिशियल्स यहाँ पर आएंगे उनको ये एक एक पीस को जोड़ना होगा। ब्लैक बॉक्स ज़रूर मिल गया है। अब देखिए डॉक्यूमेंट्स कितने सारे हैं, हज़ारों की तादाद में पेजेस यहाँ पर आपको देखने को मिलेंगे और वो उड़ के अलग अलग जगह पे गए हैं। जो नोज है और वहाँ पर जो टेल है वो अभी आपको दिखा रहा है। और बस अभी यहाँ पर जांच होगी थोड़ी देर में। लोग यहाँ पर लगातार आ रहे हैं क्योंकि यही वो जगह है जहाँ पर ये दुर्घटना हुई है।
All right, that was our correspondent Saurabh, perhaps the only reporter there closest to the crash site. He gave us an in-depth analysis there. These are the live visuals we are getting you of the crash site there, the wreckage of the Jetlayer plane there, showing you the nuances that led to the crash. Of course, the pilot did alert the ATS regarding low visibility, but right now, on his screens right now, are the visuals, the wreckage of the crash that led to the demise of the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar. Of course, according to our reporter Saurabh, black box has been recovered, but the kind of lethal crash that took place because the pilot could not land there at the Baramati runway, 5 to 6 kilometers short before the landing. And let's go back to Saurabh Batania, who's there at the crash site closest.
लैंड होना था।
He's telling us more.
यहाँ पर ऐसे कोई सहूलियत नहीं है कि यहाँ पर एक जो अत्याधुनिक जो चीज़ें होती है वैसी कुछ नहीं है। एक मेकशिफ्ट यहाँ पर एयरपोर्ट और रनवे बनाया गया है क्योंकि बारामती में ऐसा कोई एयरपोर्ट मौजूद नहीं है। तो ये इस तरीके से ये रोड यहाँ पर बना हुआ है, वो रनवे मौजूद है। एंड व्हाट द ऑफिशियल्स आर टेलिंग अस दैट इन द मॉर्निंग देयर वाज लॉट ऑफ मिस्ट एंड द रनवे वाज नॉट विजिबल एट ऑल। रिमेंबर द प्लेन वाज कमिंग फ्रॉम दैट साइड। यहाँ पर जो ठीक पीछे जो मेरी तस्वीर देख रहे हैं उस जगह से इस प्लेन को आना था। पहले राउंड में जब ये प्लेन यहाँ पर आता है, ऑन द फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट द पायलट टू द एटीसी ऑफिशियल क्लियरली सेड दैट द रनवे इज नॉट विजिबल। पायलट ने साफ तौर पे एटीसी को कहा कि मुझे रनवे नहीं दिख रहा है, बहुत धुंध है, जिसके चलते एटीसी ने उसे कहा तो प्लेन यहाँ पर बहुत नजदीक आया था। जो आई विटनेस हमें बता रहे हैं कि प्लेन बहुत नजदीक आ गया था एंड देन इट हैड टू मेक अ गो राउंड फ्रॉम दिस प्लेस। सो आफ्टर मेकिंग अ गो राउंड इट केम बैक अगेन। इवन देन द पायलट सेड दैट द विजुअल्स ऑफ रनवे आर नॉट क्लियरली विजिबल एंड देन there was no contact with the pilot and the ATC. Here you can see, and then it crashed at this particular place. Now the NDRF team is over here. There are also several other officials who are present over here. The area is completely cordoned off. Over here you can see crashed, and this is a small valley. This is because this is on a mountain top. You can see that how this particular airstrip has been made. It's a makeshift airstrip over here, and it missed the airstrip and it has crashed over here. The cops and all the officials are present over here. They have completely cordoned off the area. तस्वीरों में आप देख सकते हैं किस तरीके से पूरी तरह किया।
That's my colleague Saurabh giving you an analysis. We're getting you live visuals from the crash site there in Baramati. He speaks about how the pilot tried to land on the runway, but the distance of the crash was more than 6 kilometers from the runway. What we do know that there was poor visibility. The pilot did alert the ATS. Both the pilots were highly experienced, 15,000 to 16,000 flying time. But we're getting you these live visuals of the wreckage, the kind of lethal crash that took place earlier in the morning, which led to the demise of the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar. These are the live visuals right now. Of course, the Pawars have reunited there in Baramati before the funeral takes place tomorrow at 11 a.m. What we do know is that the black box has been recovered, but of course, the kind of wreckage there at the crash site, it almost took 4 to 5 hours for the fire, for the flames to come down at this point of time. There will be various lines of inquiry as to what happened. But Saurabh, my colleague, is now joining me live from the crash site. He's the only reporter there. Saurabh, at this point of time, आप हमें क्या बता सकते हैं सारे ऑफिशियल्स AIBIB एंड जो हम सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्टर ने भी कहा है कि प्रोब होगा, that there will be a probe and there will be an accountable manner probe at this point of time. But what are the contours of the probe that will happen in the next few days? What we do know is that a black box has been recovered.
So, well, the black box is definitely recovered. Now, how the entire sequence of event has taken place, that is very important. Now, this is a makeshift runway over here. We are NDTV on, we clearly show you the visuals of the runway. This is actually the runway wherein this plane had to land. And now what has happened is, this is a bit a hilly area. This is on the hilltop. This particular runway is made on a hilltop. To show you visuals. Outside the area, this is completely village area. There are all fields over here, farm fields over here. Now what had happened, it was early morning at around 8:40, 8:30. Now what had happened, the plane was coming from that direction. The pilot to the ATC clearly said in the first attempt, he said that the airstrip, the fill strip is not.
Seems to be some technical glitch with my colleague there, Saurabh, who's getting us on-ground details. The only reporter there from the crash site, and we are getting the visuals of the jet layer there. He's back with us. Yes, Saurabh, show us around as to the area where the crash took place. We do know that the distance of the crash was more than approximately 5 to 6 kilometers from the runway. Saurabh, over to you.
No, if we see, it is not even few meters. See, this is particular, you can see these are the visuals, this is the runway over here. And now from here, it's a long shot. I'll ask my camera person number to show you. There you can see it's the entire runway over here. The plane was supposed to land over here. But when it came for the second round, it turned around this completely area. And then it was the second attempt wherein once again the pilot clearly told ATC that the airstrip, the runway is not visible. And then there was no contact. Now just see how less distance this particular crash has happened. Now we are here at this particular runway. I'll ask my camera person to show you. It's a small valley kind of thing. Let's just see the visuals out here. From here, you can see, like I said, the runway is at the hilltop. And from here, this particular plane actually got crashed just next to the airstrip. So here's the runway where I showed you the visual, and just over here, this plane crashed exactly in the side of the runway. Here you can see the debris of the entire plane over here. The debris are spread across the area. It's around 1 or 2 kilometers over here. The cops have completely barricaded this particular place. We are waiting for the officials to come over here. They will be investigating, because all this debris has to be connected back into one piece for investigation. That is very important. Just I'll ask my camera person to show you the different parts of the aeroplane over here, which are spread across this area. So just one over here where the officials are present, that's the runway, and it missed this particular runway. It misses this runway. On the left side here, you can see the plane has crashed. There are also a lot of documents. There are also a lot of papers over here. Then asked not to touch anything, and therefore entire area is cordoned off. There are people in huge number who are coming over here. They want how this entire thing has happened. Over here you can again see the police official trying to barricade this entire place, because all this piece of evidence is very important. When the investigation takes place, it will be very important that how this entire incident has taken place. Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, who has lost his life. Ajit Pawar, he had to conduct over 4 rallies over here, and he has lost his life in this particular incident. It's a very saddening incident, and he was so much connected to Baramati. He has lot of development work for the people of Baramati, and therefore thousands of people are coming over here across the states, especially from the western Maharashtra, to pay final respect to Ajit Pawar.
Right, Saurabh. I also have with us Radhika and Abhishek, who are tracking the fallout of what happens next to NCP and Mahayuti. But coming back to you, Saurabh, joining us live from the crash site. Of course, you gave us a lowdown of the contours of the probe. But the big question remains that it took approximately 45 minutes after which the 7Learjet 45 aircraft crashed. The big question is that did the aircraft suffer in mid-air rather? Why was the pilot not able to land? What we do know that there was a poor visibility issue. But talk to us more about the line of inquiry which will be taken moving forward.
Now, black box remains the most important part of investigation. Let me tell you, that will be the most important thing, wherein the final conversation between the pilots. There are 2 pilots inside. One had over 16 years of experience and one had around 15 hours of experience. Now, what the conversation went through amongst them. Now, what happened is over here, let me show the visuals again. When the plane crashed over here, nobody knew what was happening because there is a motor training school over here, and also there is other things over here. So what happens is when this particular plane crashed over here, there were villagers around. They actually reached this particular. What they did is that water they brought in, they tried to pour in the debris which was here. They also brought in some of the blankets and other things which they could. There were bodies which were lying all around. Let me tell you, this particular crash sites, there were bodies which were lying all around. Then the eyewitness and the cops, with the help of blankets, they removed the people from the blanket, and the body were charred to death. Let me tell you, it was in very bad condition. And Ajit Pawar's body was recognized with his wristwatch, his shoes, and the way he wears. In that way, Ajit Pawar was identified. There were the eyewitness and the cops who reached this particular spot first. Now, the officials over here have recovered the black box. The officials have did first round of inspection. Again, you can see the senior police officials who are at the spot. They will be completely barricading this particular place because this is a very important piece of evidence that how this entire sequence of events have taken place. You can see it's just beside the runway. You can see the runway was on the right side, and here below a small valley kind of thing, and here the plane has crashed. You can see one more helicopter which has taken off from this particular runway. Like I said, that this is the only runway which is available over here, and all the planes and all the helicopters does their landing over here only. Around here, this entire area is a farmland, and the villagers who were present over here, they were the one who first reached the spot, and they helped to get people out of this particular debris. Now, the debris has been kept as it is. There are documents all around. The place is completely secured. The officials are over here. Then more investigating teams from Delhi and Pune, once they reach over here, then they will start to take all the pieces together and do the further course of investigations.
Saurabh, unfortunate, very lethal crash indeed. Just to reiterate to our viewers that we're showing you the wreckage of the plane crash there. But Ajit Pawar's body was perhaps recognized only because the wristwatch that he was wearing, with all 5 on board dying after the crash. We'll be going back to our reporters for more. But right now, let's tell you more about the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister and NCP party chief Ajit Pawar, who died in a jet crash near his home city of Baramati. Flight tracking data shows his business aircraft took off from Mumbai airport at around 8:10 a.m. Then, around 35 minutes later, it crashed in a mountainous area near Baramati at 8:46 a.m. The aircraft's flight trajectory does not show any abnormality, perhaps. But a primary assessment of the ADSB data suggests that 10 minutes into the flight, it was achieved at an altitude of more than 6 kilometers and was flying at a speed of 1,036 kilometers per hour. The place where the jet stopped sending ADS-B signals is around 20 kilometers from the Baramati airport, where it was supposed to make a landing. Now, the bigger question that arises are, number one, did the aircraft suffer mid-air failure? Why did the pilot fail to land in first try? Let's listen in to the reactions on this.
था कोई नहीं था, वो पायलट का डिसीजन था. You know, he made an approach from runway 29, and then he carried out a missed approach, after which again he tried to make an attempt from runway 11. This is what I also have no contact with the pilots. They are not there. It is a very unfortunate incident. We are very sad about it. We are trying to first be with the family, solidly with the family who have lost their best next of kins. It's a very unfortunate incident. Primarily, it appears that, you know, the pilot could not see the runway, and that's why he would have carried out. But he is already.
All right, so that was the bite of VK Singh, who is the owner of Director VSR company, and he's clearly said that the crash happened because of poor visibility. We, of course, been giving you minute-by-minute updates of how the crash happened. Was it a technical failure, or perhaps why was there no mid-air alert given? What we do know is that both the pilots were highly experienced, 15,000 flying time to 16,000. But what we do know is that the pilot alerted the ATS about poor visibility, but perhaps it crashed 5 to 6 kilometers before the runway. Let's now give you a lowdown of the last 26 minutes of the aircraft. So what happened? 8:18 a.m. is when the aircraft, perhaps 6th SSK, established initial contact with Baramati ATC crew. And they were advised, so the crew was then advised to descend under visual conditions, because the pilot clearly informed them that the visibility was extremely poor. Then what happens is, go around was initiated after first approach to runway by the aircraft. Then at 8:43 a.m., no readback, all contact is lost of landing clearance received from crew. At 8:44 a.m., this is all happening in a span of 26 odd minutes, flames reported near the threshold of runway 11. And that's the news which broke at 8:46 a.m. of the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar, no more, with all the passengers on board, including the pilot, dying on crash site. Let's tell you more about this jet that all of them were on. It's called the Learjet 45XR. It is the Bombardier Learjet 45 business jet. Let's tell you more about the features of this jet. Twin-engine light business jet. Now, this jet is commonly used for corporate and VIP travel. It's small size and high speed, suitable for short and medium sectors. So these are some of the physical features of the jet, operated by VSR, that's the company's name, and registered as VTSSK. Remember, this jet also had a crash in 2023. Meanwhile, moving on from this, Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar and all others on board, including the pilot and the co-pilot and a flight attendant, lost their lives in this crash earlier today. Let's tell you about the young captain. Captain Shambhavi Pathak was operating the Learjet 45XR that crashed in Baramati earlier today. Well, she had been associated with the company since 2022. She studied aviation at the University of Mumbai and underwent flight training at the New Zealand International Commercial Pilot Academy between 2018 and 2019. Flight attendant Pinky Mali was also on board the aircraft. Her family has now demanded a high-level inquiry into the fatal plane crash. Ironically, in 2024, Ajit Pawar had tweeted that the chances of a smoother landing are higher when the pilot is a woman. So NDTV also spoke with flight attendant Pinky Mali's mother, who are now demanding a high inquiry into the fatal plane crash. The crew lost her life in the plane crash. Listen in to them.
आपको इसके बारे में जानकारी कैसे मिली?
ऐसा था कि सुबह में समाधान सरवनकर जी का फ़ोन आया और मैं इनसे बात कर ही रहा था कि कट गया, तो मुझे डाउट हुआ कि क्यों फ़ोन किए। इतने में मैं चैनल चालू किया तो मैं टीवी से मुझे मालूम पड़ा कि अजीत दादा का ऐसा हो गया। फिर बाकी लोगों का फ़ोन आना चालू हो गया कि अरे पिंकी माली आपकी लड़की का अटेंडेंट थी, ऐसा ऐसा हो गया। कल मेरा उससे बातचीत हुआ था कि पापा मैं बारामती अजीत दादा के साथ जा रही हूँ। तो मतलब अभी आप तो 3 टाइम गई थी ना, तो बोले कि हाँ पापा बॉम्बे टू बारामती, बारामती टू वाया नांदेड़ कर ही रही हूँ। वो आई, फिर आज सुबह चली गई। वो उसका कल का लास्ट फोन था, ये मुझे पता नहीं।
ऐसे मन बहुत घबरा रहा था। मैं सोच रही थी कि क्या कुछ तो हुआ है, पर ये लोग मुझे बता नहीं रहे थे, लेकिन मुझे अंदर से लग रहा था। और रोज मुझे सुबह सुबह फोन करती थी, रोज बोलती थी मम्मी नाश्ता कर ले, दवाई खा ले। रोज मुझे फोन करती थी, रोज बोलती थी, पर आज उसका कुछ मैसेज का रिप्लाई नहीं आया, कुछ नहीं आया। मेरा मन अंदर से बहुत घबरा रहा था। वो बात की, उसके पापा बोले कि, फिर मैं बोली क्या बात की पिंकी, तो बोले कुछ नहीं, ऐसे ही बस कल जाने वाली है फ्लाइट में, बस इतना ही बात हुआ और कुछ बात नहीं हुआ।
बड़े बड़े नेताओं के साथ वो जो उनके फ्लाइट अटेंडेंट थे, अजीत पवार भी उसी फ्लाइट में।
हाँ, अजीत पवार के साथ, फर्नांडीज के साथ, नारायण रानी के साथ, उनके बेटे लोग के साथ, चिरंजीवी हीरो है उसके साथ, उसके पूरे फैमिली के साथ ऐसे फ्लाइट अटेंड करती थी वो। सब बड़े बड़े लोग के साथ में अटेंड करती थी।
अब तक पता नहीं चला टेक्निकल ग्लिच है किस कारण हुआ, तो आप चाहेंगे कि इसकी जांच हो?
हाँ, चाहूंगी कि इसकी जांच हो। मैं चाहूंगी कि इसकी जांच हो, किस कारण से हुआ। मेरी बेटी तो चली गई, अब तो नहीं आएगी।
मुझे सूचना मिली 11 बजे के करीब, मेरे छोटे बेटे ने बताया, उन लोगों ने नहीं बताया क्योंकि मैं अकेली हूँ, मेरे हस्बैंड की भी लास्ट ईयर डेथ हो गई।
जी, तो आप ही के पास रहते हैं? आपके बेटे ने कुछ खबर की?
छोटे बेटे ने, उनके मतलब शांभवी के चाचा ने मुझे बोला कि ऐसे ऐसे मम्मी अजीत पवार का वो हुआ है क्रैश, और वही एयरक्राफ्ट है जो चीनी, उसका घर में चीनी बुलाते, चीनी उड़ा जो फ्लाई करती है, सेम एयरक्राफ्ट का नाम आ रहा है। तो मैंने देन एकदम मैंने बोला, क्योंकि रात को मेरे बड़े बेटे से मैंने पूछा था वेयर इज चीनी, तो बोले चीनी कल दोपहर में ही मुंबई गई है, तो जहाँ तक मुंबई से ऑपरेट करती थी।
जी, आज सुबह मैसेज भी आया?
हाँ आया, वही तो कह रहे, वो कभी बहुत कम मुझे लिखती थी, फ़ोन पे बात कर लेती थी। अभी पूजा वूजा हुई तो फ़ोन पे करा, हाँ मैं आपको फ़ोटो भेज रही हूँ, फ़ोटो भेजी। फिर आज सुबह पता नहीं, मैं अपना पूजा में जाने के पहले मैं अपना ऐसे मोबाइल चेक कर रही तो देखा शांभवी का मैसेज है। मैंने कहा हाँ, तो मैंने खोला तो उसमें लिखा हाय, वो मुझे दादी नहीं बोलती थी, दद्दा बोलती थी, दद्दा, हाय दद्दा और गुड मॉर्निंग।
Well, Ajit Pawar's last interview in the very same aircraft that crashed today. NDTV's Rahul Kulkarni spoke with him on January 13th. Take a listen.
इसकी ऑडियंस आपको देख रहे हैं, तो शायद ऐसा तो नहीं कि दोनों राष्ट्रवादी कांग्रेस जो है अभी साथ में आ रही है, जो आपके मनमुटाव थे, चूंकि आपने पिंपरी चिंचवड़ में कहा भी, अभी जो हुआ सो हो गया।
नहीं, क्या हुआ इस चुनाव में, हमारे कार्यकर्ता जो है, कैंडिडेट जो होना चाहते थे, उन्होंने हमें भी बताया, उनको भी बताया, और अकेले लड़कर अगर वोटों का बंटवारा हुआ तो कैंडिडेट का नुकसान होता है। तो जो भी हमारा कार्यकर्ता है वो चुनाव उन्होंने जीतना चाहिए, और वो जीतने के लिए अगर बंटवारा न होते हुए दोनों साइड के वोट अगर मिल गए तो रिजल्ट थोड़ा बहुत ठीक आने की संभावना रहती है।
ये आगे जाके भी होगा?
नहीं, अभी तो मैंने खाली कॉरपोरेशन के चुनाव के बारे में मेरा सोचना चालू है, और उसके बाद जिला परिषद, तालुका पंचायत, ये इस पे हम सब ध्यान देने वाले हैं। और उसमें तुरंत बाद अपना इस साल का बजट आने वाला है 23 फरवरी को, 23 फरवरी 2026, इसमें मुझे बजट पेश करना है। तो ये सब काम में मैं बहुत बिजी हूँ, हमने उस एंगल से कुछ सोचा नहीं।
तो जो दिल्ली में चर्चा है कि जो राष्ट्रवादी है शरद पवार का गुट, वो भी एनडीए का सहयोगी सदस्य बनना चाहता है,
मुझे नहीं मालूम।
आपको पता है? और सुप्रिया सुले भी शायद मिनिस्टर बनेगी, ये भी कहा जा रहा है।
नहीं, क्या होता है अभी, जैसे बीच में बहुत दिन उद्धव ठाकरे साहब की शिवसेना और राज ठाकरे जी की मन से एक आ सकती है, एक हो सकती है, एक हो सकती है, साथ साथ चुनाव लड़ सकती है। उन्होंने पार्टी अलग अलग रखी है, सही है ना? पार्टी तो अलग अलग, उन्होंने कुछ कैंडिडेट खड़े किए, इन्होंने कुछ कैंडिडेट खड़े किए,
लेकिन दोनों आपस में एक साथ चुनाव मिलकर लड़ रहे हैं।
चुनाव मिलकर, जैसे भाजपा शिवसेना इतने सालों से मिलकर लड़ रही है, वैसे अभी ये दोनों साथ साथ आए हैं, तो उन पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं को ठीक लगता है और उन पार्टियों के वोटर जो है उनको भी ठीक लगता है कि चलो अच्छा हो रहा है। ऐसा मैंने से शिवसेना के बारे में,
वही एनसीपी के भी बारे में है, ऐसा आप बताना
वैसा अभी जो वोटर है एनसीपी का, जो पवार साहब कुछ चाहते हैं या हम पार्टी चलाते, हमारे भी थोड़ा बहुत कुछ वोटर है, वो दोनों वोटर को अच्छा लगता है कि चलो।
And well, we're getting breaking news. Ajit Pawar's funeral procession to begin at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Funeral procession to begin from the Gandhima Auditorium there in Baramati, and the last rites of the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar will take place at 11 a.m. tomorrow, with the procession starting at 9 a.m. What we do know is also that Ajit Pawar's remains will be kept for public viewing at Vidya Pratishthan, which is a ground where the mortal remains are kept before the last rites. There's also been a 3-day state mourning which has been declared in Maharashtra. The last rites of the Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister, who's also been known as the architect of modern Baramati, will take place in Baramati tomorrow at 9 a.m. with the last rites taking place at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Well, all the leaders from the Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis to Eknath Shinde and all the Pawars are there in Baramati. A short while ago, they were there at the Vidya Pratishthan, which is a public ground, of course. Public ground of mortal remains before the funeral takes place. We do know that there's been a massive gathering outside the Pratishthan there, because Ajit Pawar was perhaps a mass leader. He was the key architect of modern Baramati infrastructure, and there will be a lot of people from Baramati, from Maharashtra. We do know that Uddhav Thackeray is on his way to Baramati, who will be there to pay their last respects to a man who was completely very close to the grassroots, and the kind of void which will be left after Pawar's demise. His last rites will take place at 11 a.m. tomorrow, with the funeral beginning at 9 a.m. Which will be beginning from Gandhima Auditorium in Baramati. It's also perhaps coincident to note here that Baramati was perhaps his ground, that is from where Ajit Pawar rose in politics, and as fate could have it, it is in Baramati where his last rites will be conducted tomorrow at 11 a.m. And well, Radhika is now joining me live. Radhika, we've of course been tracking what's next for NCP at this point of time, but the bigger question right now is the kind of void left after Ajit Pawar's demise. Perhaps a controversial leader, but also a very tall leader, known as the key architect of modern Baramati's infrastructure. We do know that the last rites will take place at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
That's right. Last rites will take place at 11 a.m. in Baramati, which is the home turf of Pawar. This is where he was headed to when this fateful accident took place. In fact, he was headed there for Zilla Parishad meetings as well as campaign. Somebody who is absolutely a workaholic, somebody who starts his day early. I was headed to his home turf when this accident happened. And as you've been pointing out, yes, was a tall and an influential leader, somebody who kept NCP, his faction of NCP alive and relevant. Of course, there are controversies surrounding Ajit Pawar over the last several years. There are allegations of corruption and misdoings as far as his tenure when he was irrigation minister was concerned, or during several other ministerial tenures. But despite that, he was somebody who was, had that influence, had that grassroots level connections as far as people of Maharashtra was concerned. Yes, his the funeral will take place at 11 a.m. Last rites will happen then, and a procession of sorts will happen in Baramati. We've been showing visuals of people in shock, in utter dismay, heartbreaking visuals of NCP cadres, people in Baramati crying. So they deserve a final glimpse of their leader, which is why a procession, a 2-hour procession will take place in his home turf of Baramati, where unfortunately he met with this accident. All his family members are there. They're in shock. They're inconsolable. We saw Sunitra Pawar, his wife, she's in shock. Sharad Pawar also with her, and besides that, Supriya Sule, and also Ajit Pawar's son present there, Devendra Fadnavis, and also Eknath Shinde in Baramati as well. All the top leaders of Maharashtra in Baramati. Very importantly, remains to be seen if Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah and several other central leadership will also be part of the last rites. But
Right, Radhika. Of course, we'll have to see if Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Shah will be there. But what we are telling you right now is the last rites of Ajit Pawar will begin tomorrow at 9 a.m. It's going to be a 2-hour procession. We will continue to track all that's happening, but for now, slipping into a very short break.
मेड इन इंडिया क्यों नहीं? हमारे पास क्या है? मस्टर्ड ऑयल. इट इज आवर फ्लैगशिप ऑयल.
और हमें गर्व है कि 1933 से हम पी मार्क कच्ची घानी मस्टर्ड ऑयल का उत्पादन कर रहे हैं. इस मूल्यवान स्वदेशी प्रोडक्ट को बनाने में हमने खुद को समर्पित किया है पीढ़ियों से.
माँ भी हमेशा पी मार्क मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी.
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में. पी मार्क द मस्टर्ड स्पेशलिस्ट सिंस 1933. सरसों से सरसों.
He is going to retire from active politics. In fact, he had tried retiring from it once, but then did not. He took back, he withdrew, NCP president's post as well. But unfortunately, as fate would have it, it was, in fact, Ajit Pawar's last election and last political journey. So yes, conspiracy theorists at it, but is there any truth to it? Not entirely certain. Investigation certainly on.
And we also spoke with the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and we asked him this question on what really happened mid-air that led to the crash, that led to the death of Ajit Pawar. Also, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra reacting to the untimely demise of Ajit Pawar. Let's listen in.
समूचे महाराष्ट्र में बहुत ही दुख का वातावरण तैयार हुआ है. हम सभी के लिए इस प्रकार के जननेता को खोना एक अपरिमित इस प्रकार की हानि है. व्यक्तिगत मेरे लिए वो एक बहुत ही दमदार और दिलदार इस प्रकार के मित्र थे और हम दोनों ने साथ में काफी संघर्ष का काल भी देखा है और अब दृढ़ता के साथ महाराष्ट्र के विकास में जब वो योगदान दे रहे थे और एक बहुत लंबी पारी वो खेलेंगे ऐसी परिस्थिति थी, ऐसे समय उनका निकल जाना मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इसके लिए हमारे पास कोई शब्द भी नहीं है.
All right, more reactions coming in.
Absolutely, and Ramdas Athavale, who in fact is an ally of the Mahayuti, he is a part of the Mahayuti, he is an ally with the NCP and the BJP and Eknath Shinde in Maharashtra. He is a Rajya Sabha member of Parliament. He too has now asked for an investigation. Let's listen in.
महाराष्ट्र के डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर जो अजीत पवार प्लेन हादसे में सर नहीं रहे सर, क्या कहेंगे?
तो अजीत पवार जी प्लेन के क्रैश से मतलब अजीत पवार जी का डेथ हुआ है। अजीत पवार जाने से महाराष्ट्र का एक बहुत बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है। हमारे महायुति का, हमारा एनडीए का जो वो मेंबर थे और उन्होंने मतलब महाराष्ट्र के लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया था और उनके जाने से हमारा भारी नुकसान हुआ है। हमें बहुत बड़ा धक्का बैठा है। बहुत ही बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है।
आपको लगता है जांच होनी चाहिए प्लेन हादसे को लेकर? जिस
हाँ, मतलब इसके अभी वो तो महाराष्ट्र का गवर्नमेंट जो है ये मतलब इंक्वायरी करेगी और जिस तरह ऐसा हुआ है ये तो अच्छी बात नहीं है। इसकी जांच भी होनी चाहिए।
The difference here is that while you had Mamata Banerjee suggesting some kind of conspiracy, hinting at something might be amiss, here Ramdas Athavale is saying that, well, it's a plane crash and it needs to be investigated by the government, but the idea of foul play being suggested at by Mamata Banerjee, that something is amiss, that Ajit Pawar was going to leave the Mahayuti. Nitin Raut of the Congress also making such a suggestion. We'll play that out in just a second as well. But interesting times. Of course, it is much, much too soon to be engaging in, debates like this, but that is the nature of our politics. The fact is that for a long time, this has been the one allegation against the BJP, that your allies cannot trust you, that you will first go for your allies again and again. In fact, recently, Shiv, when you had the AIADMK tying up with the BJP in Tamil Nadu, the example of Maharashtra was given. Absolutely. That look what they did to Uddhav Thackeray, that he was promised the chief minister's post, which was by the way denied, that he was promised the chief minister's post and then his party was broken and finished off, that the same thing was done to the NCP, where a family was split down the middle, and now the suggestion being made that the realization of what the BJP can do had dawned on the family, on the Pawar family, and they had reunited for one election. Maybe they were planning to leave the Mahayuti.
Too early even to come out.
Well, from Baramati's cooperative belts to the corridors of power in Mumbai, Ajit Pawar's journey defined Maharashtra's coalition era. His death closes a chapter in state politics marked by ambition, resilience, and controversy. Take a look.
Born on 22nd July 1959, Ajit Pawar was the nephew of veteran leader Sharad Pawar. He entered public life through the Sugar Cooperative Network, Maharashtra's traditional power nursery, before winning elections and rising rapidly within the Nationalist Congress Party. Holding portfolios like water resources, finance and planning, Ajit Pawar became known as a numbers man. Blunt, hands-on, and at times polarizing. Allies called him a doer. Critics questioned his methods. His political life was punctuated by dramatic turns. In November 2019, he briefly defected to form a surprise government with the BJP, a government that lasted just 80 hours. It was the first public crack in the NCP family. But the rupture became permanent in July 2023 when Ajit Pawar led a faction of MLAs to join the BJP-led government again, this time as Deputy Chief Minister. The move split the NCP down the middle. Months later, the Election Commission awarded his faction the party name and symbol, leaving Sharad Pawar's loyalists to rebuild under a new banner. Ajit Pawar's story was more than that of a powerful state leader. It was a mirror to India's changing politics, where alliances shift, families fracture, and survival demands reinvention. In life and in legacy, Ajit Pawar was never out of the game.
Well, with Ajit Pawar's tragic death, what's next for the two factions? Will the factions unite post Ajit's demise, or will there be a new political picture painted? To answer the question of who will lead NCP now, let's now take a look at the current Pawar politics and Parivar. The party faces restricted selection possibilities for a new leader. The leading contenders are number 1, Supriya Sule, Ajit Pawar's cousin and Sharad Pawar's daughter. Supriya Sule represents Baramati, and that's in the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Supriya Sule won the Baramati seat after defeating her sister-in-law Sunetra Pawar in a rare family competition. Sule back then secured more than 7 lakh votes. Then comes the second contestant, Sunetra Pawar, who is perhaps the wife of Ajit Pawar. She stands as another contestant in the competition as public sympathy is massively with Ajit's family. So she is contestant number 2. However, she lost 2024 Lok Sabha elections to Supriya Sule. The third contestant is Rohit Rajendra Pawar, currently serving as the MLA for Karjat in Maharashtra. He holds the dual roles of Baramati Agro CEO and also the Maharashtra Cricket Association president. At this point of time, the NCP faces one of its toughest periods in choosing its next leader. Well, let's tell you more about the successor. We just told you about the successor. We'll just swift through the pages here. The first is Supriya Sule, who is Sharad Pawar's daughter. She won the Baramati seat in 2024 and she defeated Ajit's wife in 2024 polls. Apart from this, she secured more than 7 lakh votes during that elections. The next contestant is Sunetra Pawar, who is the wife of Ajit Pawar. Apart from that, she is a RS member since 2024. And however, she lost the Baramati 2024 Lok Sabha polls against Supriya Sule. Ajit Pawar's nephew is the third contestant. His name is Rohit Pawar. Let's tell you more about him. He served as the MLA for Karjat Jamkhed in Maharashtra. Apart from this, he is also the Baramati Agro CEO and he is the Maharashtra Cricket Body president also. So this is perhaps the 3 top contenders who perhaps can take Ajit Pawar's seat. For now, slipping into a very short break.
मेड इन इंडिया क्यों नहीं? हमारे पास क्या है? मस्टर्ड ऑयल. इट इज आवर फ्लैगशिप ऑयल.
और हमें गर्व है कि 1933 से हम पी मार्क कच्ची घानी मस्टर्ड ऑयल का उत्पादन कर रहे हैं. इस मूल्यवान स्वदेशी प्रोडक्ट को बनाने में हमने खुद को समर्पित किया है पीढ़ियों से.
माँ भी हमेशा पी मार्क मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी.
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में. पी मार्क द मस्टर्ड स्पेशलिस्ट सिंस 1933.
सरसों से सरसों.
He is going to retire from active politics. In fact, he had tried retiring from it once, but then did not. He took back, he withdrew, NCP president's post as well. But unfortunately, as fate would have it, it was in fact Ajit Pawar's last election and last political journey. So yes, conspiracy theorists at it, but is there any truth to it? Not entirely certain. Investigation certainly on.
And we also spoke with the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra and we asked him this question on what really happened mid-air that led to the crash, that led to the death of Ajit Pawar. Also the Chief Minister of Maharashtra reacting to the untimely demise of Ajit Pawar. Let's listen in.
समूचे महाराष्ट्र में बहुत ही दुख का वातावरण तैयार हुआ है. हम सभी के लिए इस प्रकार के जननेता को खोना एक अपरिमित इस प्रकार की हानि है. व्यक्तिगत मेरे लिए वो एक बहुत ही दमदार और दिलदार इस प्रकार के मित्र थे और हम दोनों ने साथ में काफी संघर्ष का काल भी देखा है और अब दृढ़ता के साथ महाराष्ट्र के विकास में जब वो योगदान दे रहे थे और एक बहुत लंबी पारी वो खेलेंगे ऐसी परिस्थिति थी, ऐसे समय उनका निकल जाना, मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इसके लिए हमारे पास कोई शब्द भी नहीं है।
All right, more reactions coming in.
Absolutely. And Ramdas Athavale, who in fact is an ally of the Mahayuti, he is a part of the Mahayuti, he is an ally with the NCP and the BJP and Eknath Shinde in Maharashtra. He is a Rajya Sabha member of parliament. He too has now asked for an investigation. Let's listen in.
महाराष्ट्र के डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर जो अजीत पवार प्लेन हादसे में सर नहीं रहे सर, क्या कहेंगे?
तो अजीत पवार जी प्लेन के क्रैश से मतलब अजीत पवार जी का डेथ हुआ है। अजीत पवार जाने से महाराष्ट्र का एक बहुत बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है। हमारे महायुति का, हमारा एनडीए का जो वो मेंबर थे और उन्होंने मतलब महाराष्ट्र के लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया था और उनके जाने से हमारा भारी नुकसान हुआ है। हमें बहुत बड़ा धक्का बैठा है। बहुत ही बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है।
आपको लगता है जांच होनी चाहिए प्लेन हादसे को लेकर? जिस
हाँ, मतलब इसके अभी वो तो महाराष्ट्र का गवर्नमेंट जो है ये मतलब इंक्वायरी करेगी और जिस तरह ऐसा हुआ है ये तो अच्छी बात नहीं है, इसकी जांच भी होनी चाहिए।
The difference here is that while you had Mamta Banerjee suggesting some kind of conspiracy, hinting at something might be amiss, here Ramdas Athavale is saying that, well, it's a plane crash and it needs to be investigated by the government, but the idea of foul play being suggested at by Mamta Banerjee, that something is amiss, that Ajit Pawar was going to leave the Mahayuti. Nitin Raut of the Congress also making such a suggestion. We'll play that out in just a second as well. But interesting times. Of course, it is much too soon to be engaging in debates like this, but that is the nature of our politics. The fact is that for a long time this has been the one allegation against the BJP, that your allies cannot trust you, that
Well, condolences are also pouring in from lawmakers across the spectrum on Ajit Pawar's demise. His home turf, Baramati, is mourning his Dada's death. Our next report telling you more.
Baramati, mourning its favorite Dada. Tears and tributes to their beloved leader, Ajit Dada Pawar. Baramati and the Pawar family have been synonymous in politics for decades. The now prosperous sugar-producing belt is where Ajit Pawar's political journey started over 3 decades ago. It was here that a young Ajit Pawar, still in his uncle's shadow, learned the game of politics and power and was molded into the hard-nosed politician who would later play a starring role in reshaping, perhaps for all time, Maharashtra's political landscape. And it was here, many years later, that Pawar's journey came to an end. Pawar was a 7-time MLA from Baramati Assembly constituency, winning his first election in 1991. And Baramati did not have another MLA since then. In these 3 decades, Ajit Pawar went from the Congress to the NCP when Sharad Pawar broke ranks with the Grand Old Party and founded the NCP. And more recently, Ajit Pawar led a rebellion against his uncle that split the NCP. But irrespective of which party or symbol he represented, the Baramati Vidhan Sabha seat backed Dada. Ajit Pawar exercised a strong influence over cooperative boards in Baramati and had the image of a development man. It is this support at the grassroots that gave him the confidence to rebel against his uncle, a political giant who founded the party. Ajit Dada Pawar shared a close and personal bond with the people of Baramati, always seen among them, with them. Pawar's working style was defined by pace and presence, sharp, direct, and rooted in daily political contact. He remained active till his last day and died on the way to address public meetings ahead of local polls in his Karm Bhumi, Baramati. Bureau Report, NDTV.
he is going to retire from active politics. In fact, he had tried retiring from it once, but then did not. He took back, he withdrew, NCP president's post as well. But unfortunately, as fate would have it, it was in fact Ajit Pawar's last election and last political journey. So yes, conspiracy theorists at it, but is there any truth to it? Not entirely certain. Investigation certainly on.
And we also spoke with the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and we asked him this question on what really happened mid-air that led to the crash, that led to the death of Ajit Pawar. Also, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra reacting to the untimely demise of Ajit Pawar. Let's listen in.
समूचे महाराष्ट्र में बहुत ही दुख का वातावरण तैयार हुआ है। हम सभी के लिए इस प्रकार के जननेता को खोना एक अपरिमित इस प्रकार की हानि है। व्यक्तिगत मेरे लिए वो एक बहुत ही दमदार और दिलदार इस प्रकार के मित्र थे और हम दोनों ने साथ में काफी संघर्ष का काल भी देखा है और अब दृढ़ता के साथ महाराष्ट्र के विकास में जब वो योगदान दे रहे थे और एक बहुत लंबी पारी वो खेलेंगे ऐसी परिस्थिति थी, ऐसे समय उनका निकल जाना, मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इसके लिए हमारे पास कोई शब्द भी नहीं है।
All right, more reactions coming in.
Absolutely, and Ramdas Athavale, who in fact is an ally of the Mahayuti, he is a part of the Mahayuti, he is an ally with the NCP and the BJP and Eknath Shinde in Maharashtra. He is a Rajya Sabha member of Parliament. He too has now asked for an investigation. Let's listen in.
महाराष्ट्र के डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर जो अजीत पवार प्लेन हादसे में सर नहीं रहे, सर क्या कहेंगे?
तो अजीत पवार जी प्लेन के क्रैश से मतलब अजीत पवार जी का डेथ हुआ है। अजीत पवार जाने से महाराष्ट्र का एक बहुत बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है। हमारे महायुति का, हमारा एनडीए का जो मेंबर थे और उन्होंने मतलब महाराष्ट्र के लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया था और उनके जाने से हमारा भारी नुकसान हुआ है। हमें बहुत बड़ा धक्का बैठा है, बहुत ही बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है।
आपको लगता है जांच होनी चाहिए प्लेन हादसे को लेकर? जिससे
हाँ, मतलब इसके अभी वो तो महाराष्ट्र का गवर्नमेंट जो है ये मतलब इंक्वायरी करेगी और जिस तरह ऐसा हुआ है ये तो अच्छी बात नहीं है, इसकी जांच भी होनी चाहिए।
The difference here is that while you had Mamta Banerjee suggesting some kind of conspiracy, hinting at something might be amiss, here Ramdas Athavale is saying that, well, it's a plane crash and it needs to be investigated by the government, but the idea of foul play being suggested by Mamta Banerjee, that something is amiss, that Ajit Pawar was going to leave the Mahayuti. Nitin Raut of the Congress also making such a suggestion. We'll play that out in just a second as well. But interesting times. Of course, it is much, much too soon to be engaging in, debates like this, but that is the nature of our politics. The fact is that for a long time, this has been the one allegation against the BJP, that your allies cannot trust you, that you will first go for your allies again and again. In fact, recently, Shiv, when
Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar and 4 others have been killed after an aircraft carrying them crashed in Pune district today morning. A team that's probing the planned plane crash is already at the site in Baramati. Now, this incident occurred when a Learjet 46 plane carrying
Ajit Pawar and others crash-landed in Baramati. The investigation is on and the cremation is expected to take place tomorrow. The Chief Minister of the state, Devendra Fadnavis, and the Deputy Chief Minister of the state, Eknath Shinde, have already met the grieving family members of Ajit Pawar. You're watching NDTV and we are closely tracking as to what really caused this tragedy. First up, the headlines. The last rites of Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar, killed in a plane crash, will be held with full state honours tomorrow, is what we understand. This will happen in Baramati, the stronghold of the Pawars in Pune district. What happened today morning? The flight that was carrying Ajit Pawar and 5 others took off from Mumbai around 8:10 a.m. is what we understand from official records. It disappeared from the radar around 8:45 a.m. There were about 5 people on board when the aircraft crashed at 8:50 a.m. That's what officials have told NDTV. Ajit Pawar was travelling from Baramati. He was travelling to Baramati from Mumbai and he was supposed to address public meetings as part of the campaign for February 5th Zilla Parishad elections. Ajit Pawar, 66 years old, Maharashtra's longest serving Deputy Chief Minister, has passed away in an air crash near his hometown, near his constituency, Baramati, that brings his political career spanning 40 years to an abrupt end.
Plane was coming from that side and it had to land from here, and that's the airstrip over here on the left side of mine. यहाँ पर आप देखें कि ये आपको जो तस्वीरें मैं दिखा दूं कि ये एयर स्ट्रिप है, यानी कि ये जो रनवे है और इस रनवे पर इस प्लेन को लैंड होना था। यहाँ पर ऐसे कोई सहूलियत नहीं है कि यहाँ पर एक जो अत्याधुनिक जो चीज़ें होती है वैसी कुछ नहीं है। एक मेकशिफ्ट यहाँ पर एयरपोर्ट और रनवे बनाया गया है क्योंकि बारामती में ऐसा कोई एयरपोर्ट मौजूद नहीं है, तो ये इस तरीके से ये रोड यहाँ पर बना हुआ है, वो रनवे मौजूद है। एंड व्हाट द ऑफिशियल्स आर टेलिंग अस दैट इन द मॉर्निंग देयर वाज लॉट ऑफ मिस्ट एंड द रनवे वाज नॉट विजिबल एट ऑल। रिमेंबर द प्लेन वाज कमिंग फ्रॉम दैट साइड। यहाँ पर ठीक पीछे जो मेरी तस्वीर देख रहे हैं उस जगह से इस प्लेन को आना था। पहले राउंड में जब ये प्लेन यहाँ पर आता है, ऑन द फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट द पायलट टू द एटीसी ऑफिशियल क्लियरली सेड दैट द रनवे इज नॉट विजिबल। पायलट ने साफ तौर पे एटीसी को कहा कि मुझे रनवे नहीं दिख रहा है, बहुत धुंध है। तो आई विटनेस हमें बता रहे हैं कि प्लेन बहुत नज़दीक आ गया था एंड देन इट हैड टू मेक अ गो राउंड फ्रॉम दिस प्लेस। So after making a go round, it came back again. Even then the pilot said that the visuals of runway are not clearly visible. And then there was no contact with the pilot and the ATC. Here you can see, and then it crashed at this particular place. Now the NDRF team is over here. There are also several other officials who are present over here. The area is completely cordoned off. Over here you can see how this particular airstrip has been made. It's a makeshift airstrip over here, and it missed the airstrip and it has crashed over here.
Well, Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde met family of Ajit Pawar. Ajit Pawar died today morning in a horrible air crash that happened near Baramati, which is the stronghold of the Pawars. Those visuals there of Devendra Fadnavis, the Chief Minister, and Eknath Shinde, the Deputy Chief Minister, meeting Supriya Sule, the Baramati MP and also the cousin of Ajit Pawar. She arrived in Baramati today afternoon and she was in Delhi for the Parliament session, for the budget session. That's Sunetra Pawar there, the wife of Ajit Pawar, visibly shaken, all of them. And also the governor of the state, Acharya Devvrat, who's also there. Remember that Devendra Fadnavis also visited the site where the accident took place, where the tragedy unfolded. And from there, he also came to meet the family members of Ajit Pawar. The crowds there, locals with a picture of Ajit Pawar. These scenes are coming in from Baramati there. Remember that these are locals of Baramati. Baramati is often, Ajit Pawar is often credited with building Baramati into a constituency, into a model constituency. He is known for undertaking a lot of developmental works there. He has been an MLA from this place for over 8 terms. He's also been a 6-term Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Preparations are going on for a cremation, for a funeral that will be held with full state honours is what we understand. The cremation, the funeral is expected to take place tomorrow. And NCP SP Chief Sharad Pawar, along with NCP Working President Praful Patel, State NCP President Sunil Tatkare and State Minister Hassan Mushrif arrived today in the hospital, and they are in charge, taking charge of the arrangements there. Mortal remains of Ajit Pawar have been kept there for people to pay their tributes to their local hero. Remember, Ajit Pawar was known as the Dada of Baramati, somebody who managed the constituency for the Pawars, but also won from there, not just as an MP for the first time in 1991, but repeatedly several times as a legislator. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi has paid tributes to Ajit Pawar. In the morning, he did make a call to Sharad Pawar, NCP founder, and expressed his condolences. And now he has paid tributes to Ajit Pawar, is what we understand. Prime Minister Modi spoke to Sharad Pawar in the afternoon today, and he expressed his condolences. The relationship between Mr. Sharad Pawar and Narendra Modi is well known. They are seen as people who hold each other in high respect, and those visuals there of Supriya Sule, Baramati MP, and also working president of NCP SP, with the family members of Sharad Pawar mourning the death of Ajit Pawar. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister and Nationalist Congress Party Chief Ajit Pawar has tragically died in a jet crash near his home city of Baramati. But the flight tracking data that we have shows that his business aircraft took off from Mumbai airport at around 8:10 a.m. today morning. And then 35 minutes later, it crashed in an area that was certainly hilly. And this happened near Baramati at around 8:46 a.m. today morning. The aircraft's flight trajectory doesn't show any abnormal patterns. This is what primary assessment of the ADSP data suggests. But what we understand is that 10 minutes into the flight, it achieved at an altitude of more than 6 kilometers. It was flying at a speed of over 1,036 kilometers per hour. And the place where the jet stopped sending signals is around 20 kilometers from Baramati airport, where it was supposed to make a landing. Now, remember that this airport is not for common people. It's only used for private and charter planes. Now, the bigger question that arises is that did the aircraft suffer any mid-air failure? Was there a technical glitch at the last minute? Remember, the Civil Aviation Minister has already said that there could have been visibility issues, but a team from the AAIB is investigating this tragedy. My colleague Saurabh Gupta joins us with more details on this. Saurabh, in the last few hours, several details have emerged on what happened in the last few hours of the tragedy, how the plane crashed. These are preliminary details. The investigation is still on. Speculations are rife. But as somebody who understands aircrafts and their working, what do you think could have happened, and where do you think things went wrong? Saurabh, if you can hear us, as somebody who covers the aviation sector also, can you explain to us, with all the data that we have with regard to what
didn't indicate that something was wrong with the aircraft till the very last moment. But when they didn't read back the ATC instructions that they were cleared to land on runway 11, that perhaps is the point where one can imagine that something was already wrong, because it is standard practice. Well, as I was explaining, till the very last moment, the pilots didn't seem to indicate that there was anything wrong with the plane. In fact, when they didn't read back the ATC's instructions, for clearance to land. That was when things are suspected to have gone wrong. But before that, there was a go-around. Now, go-around is a standard practice in aviation. It can happen for multitude of reasons. It can happen because of glitches, change in wind direction, runway incursions, many reasons. But currently, all of those questions are what's on the minds of the thousands of supporters of Ajit Pawar who've gathered here at the Vidya Pratishthan grounds. Now, at the center of this ground, you can see there's a structure being constructed. That's where the last rites of Maharashtra's departed Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar will be held. Here on stage, of course, you can see there are preparations for a salute, an official salute to the departed leader. And there are several leaders cutting across party lines. I can see Pratap Sarnaik from the Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena, Sunil Tatkare, who's of course a very senior leader of the Nationalist Congress Party. Then you also have others who are here, Zishan Siddiqui, and several other leaders, including Dhananjay Munde, all here. There's a picture of Ajit Pawar here, and there are, of course, his cabinet colleagues, his supporters who've turned out in huge numbers at the Vidya Pratishthan grounds here, where the funeral also will be held. Preparations are on for the salute as well. And this is, of course, the grounds where people are still trickling in. One expects that the crowd will remain here overnight because the funeral will, of course, take place tomorrow. Dignitaries are expected here tomorrow. But you can see, of course, already a huge crowd gathering here to pay their last respects, to offer their prayers for Ajit Pawar, who tragically lost his life in that plane crash. And this is a massive blow, not just to the NCP, but to the NCP patriarch Sharad Pawar. Now, while there may have been differences between the Pawars, you could see the grief on Sharad Pawar's body language in his face when he arrived at Baramati. And of course, Ajit Pawar was groomed by Sharad Pawar. Of course, there may have been differences, but today, of course, you could see the grief amongst the entire Pawar family. The Pawar family is also here in a short while, and of course you can see lakhs and thousands of supporters turning up to pay their respects to Ajit Pawar. But going back to your question on the plane, now the plane did do a go-around. Go-around is standard operating procedure. If there's a problem in landing, if the pilots think that it's not safe to land, there was a mention of visibility issues, something that the Civil Aviation Minister also referred to. But beyond that, there wasn't anything that indicated that things were going fatally wrong or critically wrong because the pilots were communicating with the ATC. Now, this is not a full-fledged ATC. This is a smaller airport, around 1,700 meters of runway. It's, of course, controlled by the flying, organizations, flying training organizations that operate here. But there was communication till the very last minute. But where the communication seems to have stopped is the part where the plane was cleared to land, and as it is in aviation, a standard practice, pilots always repeat. It's called the read back of the instructions, give it to them, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page and they've heard the instructions clearly. That critical clear to land read back did not happen, and within a couple of minutes the plane was on the ground, burst into flames, and leading to the loss of lives of not just the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Ajit Pawar, but also the two pilots on board, and also the flight attendant and the security officer as well. So obviously a huge moment of grief for Baramati. Ajit Pawar had groomed Baramati just like his uncle Sharad Pawar did, and he's seen here as an accessible leader, someone who's missed by these crowds. You can see, of course, the grief on people's faces as well. Many of them spending a lot of time here, coming in since the afternoon in anticipation that they would be able to say their final goodbye to Ajit Pawar. And there, of course, are preparations on for the funeral here. At the center of the ground is the construction for the funeral pyre. Lots of dignitaries are expected to attend. The police, of course, salute is ready here. As the body arrives, there would be a salute. Remember, all protocols that are conducted in state funerals are also ready to say goodbye to Ajit Pawar. And for people of Baramati, it's a huge, huge moment of grief.
But the people of Baramati, they're all set to bid that final goodbye to their Dada. Thank you, Saurav. We'll keep coming back to you for those very important updates. But let's also take a look at what really happened. How did the tragedy unravel itself? In the last 26 minutes of the aircraft, which had Ajit Pawar and 5 other people, all of them have died today. Today morning, the last 26, the final minutes of the aircraft, how did those unfold? At around 8:18 a.m., according to official data, is when we understand the aircraft, which is the SSK, established initial contact with the air traffic control system in Baramati. That's when the ATC was contacted by the pilot, is what we understand. The crew was advised to descend under visual met conditions. Remember that the Aviation Minister has already said that there could have been visibility problems. The investigation is still going on. The go-around, which Saurabh also explained, is often a process that's deployed by several aircraft, was initiated after the first approach to runway by the aircraft. But it's around 8:43 a.m. is when the aircraft was clear to land on runway 11. But at 8:43 a.m., just a minute later, there was no read back of landing clearance that was received from the crew. So we don't know if there was a last-minute technical glitch that was found, if there was something that made the aircraft go stuck in mid-air and go out of radar. 8:44 a.m. is when flames were reported near the threshold of runway 11. So that's how the tragedy happened. Meanwhile, we're joined by Rohit Chandavarkar, who's a senior journalist and a political commentator. We're also joined by Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist and analyst. Thank you both of you for being part of this broadcast. Rohit, there are so many questions that I want to ask you today. Both of you have covered Maharashtra politics. Ajit Dada Pawar often is seen as someone, there are two things that people say about him. Time ke pakke the, zaban ke pakke the. You know, what is your memory of him? I have just met him twice and thrice, twice or thrice, especially after the assembly polls. And he seemed like a very unpretentious, ambitious guy, very proud of his grassroots connections, and a very cool guy who basically knew what he was doing and quite unapologetic about the mistakes that he made. He would say that, yes, I did this wrong and I accept it. What is your memory of this man?
Yes, Vasudha, Maharashtra is in a state of shock right now. Let me first describe to you the situation in Maharashtra. Not just those who follow politics or those who are connected with politics, but also common people, common janta of Maharashtra. Is really under a shock looking at this, totally unexpected, sudden incident that has happened. Coming to Ajit Pawar's memories and my memories with Ajit Pawar or whatever, as you know, I've covered Maharashtra politics for about 35 years now. And during that period, I can say that when I started covering politics, Ajit Pawar was in his first term as member of parliament. He got elected from Baramati Lok Sabha constituency in 1991 for the first time. Ever since, he has always been a member of first Lok Sabha and then for the last 30 years, Maharashtra State Assembly. So got the opportunity to meet him dozens of times and all. And one thing that I can tell you is a man was completely straightforward and forthcoming. Yeah. He had certain reservations about media, so he never really mingled with media too much. He was not media friendly, I can say. That everybody, all Maharashtra journalists know very well. And he kept his distance from media. But barring that, if you talk to Karyakartas, if you talk to people, voters, janta, for them, he was totally accessible. He would start his day at as early as 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning and be available to people anytime throughout the day, except the time that he spent in government meetings or in government office. So very accessible. Right. Second thing I would say is, he had his roots in rural politics. And like you mentioned, he was not apologetic about, not speaking English very well, not being very sophisticated or urban, not really caring too much about the South Mumbai, South Delhi, South Bangalore crowd or whatever, and being more connected with the grassroots, the rural masses. He would speak their language. He would always connect to them more easily than the urban elite. And because I spent most of the time in English media, I could, meet him only because I would speak Marathi with him.
Right.
And he had some connection because he knew I'm originally from Pune, so we could speak on a lot of common things, etc. But that's Ajit Pawar, very rooted, very grounded kind of a leader.
Right.
Vasudha.
Right, Rohit, when I met him, I did ask this question as to, he's the only party in Mahayuti that Muslims vote for, right? Like, a section of Muslims do vote for NCP even today. And wouldn't it have made more sense for him to be part of the opposition? And he smiled and said, with time you will know why I made this decision. And now I do understand why he made that call. Shekhar Iyer, what is, how was Ajit Pawar different from Sharad Pawar? Because, people who are close to the Pawars tell me that there was difference. One is a complex man who's a strategist. The other one is a straightforward, completely unpretentious guy who's completely, who's rooted in grassroots politics. What do you think was the difference between these two Pawars? And the fact that, Ajit Pawar also died very close to Baramati, and that's also in some ways coincidental, and it reflects the fact in some mysterious ways that he was completely committed to the land that he came from, isn't it?
Definitely, Vasudha, there were a lot of things in common, but a lot of things were different between two. I remember traveling with Sharad Pawar to a part of Maharashtra way back in early 90s when he was part of the Narasimha Rao government. We were actually traveling to south. But when he heard about floods in the Nagpur district, he immediately got the aircraft to land in Nagpur, then sat in the car and we also joined him, and he just rode into the rural side, headed towards that area. I'm talking of Sharad Pawar. And he could stop anywhere and call out names, and he knew so many people. And I asked Sharad Pawar ji, how do you know so many people? And he could call them out by first name. In the sense, here, grassroots politician, complete connectivity. At the same time, Sharad Pawar ji, as I understood him, was both process-oriented as well as objective-oriented, goal-oriented. He would ensure the goal is achieved, but at the same time, the process is not disturbed to a great extent.
Right.
Whereas in Ajit Pawar's case, he was also a ground politician. He could remember a lot of his people by first name, never forgot anyone. He commanded a kind of loyalty. Those who were close to him would die by him, would do anything for him. But at the same time, he was more concerned with the goal.
Right.
Whether it was a project, it was a scheme, he didn't have patience for this red tape, bureaucratic roundabout, whataboutery, nothing. He would say, this has to be done.
So more outcome-centric, right? That's a very important point.
Outcome.
Yeah.
And also, Vasudha, if a thing could not be done, he would not hesitate in telling anyone.
Right.
Whether the opposition leader or his own ministerial colleagues or anyone, he said, this just can't be done.
Can't be done, right.
And he would say, this is the reason. In the sense, he was not, politicians normally tend to be, diplomatic.
Right.
They don't say no in the face.
Absolutely.
But he's the one who would say no.
He's a very straightforward guy, straight shooter.
Rohit, yes, he would ensure it is done.
Absolutely. Rohit Chandavarkar, what do you think is going to happen to the NCP? I know it's too early to talk about this, but, there are different power centers there. Today also, the, visuals tell a very different story, because if today what happened was everybody rushed to 6th Janpath, right? I mean, Sunetra Pawar also went to Supriya Sule. So, of course, Supriya Sule is one power center. There's Sunetra Pawar. She comes from a political family, but she's been always in the shadows of the Pawar family, right? She's been seen as largely the Bahu of the family. There's Sunil Tatkare, the face of Konkan. There is, of course, Dhananjay Munde, who has his own set of controversies. And then, of course, the children there, the next generation there, Rohit Pawar, Parth Pawar. What do you think will happen with respect to the future of NCP? Where is the party headed? And do you think Sharad Pawar getting, more power, because he will be relied upon as the only factor that will stabilize the ship now?
Very crucial question. Last 2 months I've been sitting on various Marathi news channels and OTT platforms to discuss how both factions of the NCP are coming closer because of compulsions, political compulsions, and how they fought the local self-government elections together. Elections are happening in 3 phases. 2 phases are over. 1 phase, Jilla Parishad election, is still to happen, which is happening on 5th of February. Now, we have been discussing a lot about how these factions are coming together. In fact, I was the one who predicted they're going to come together, etc. Now suddenly this has happened. So what will happen, Vasudha, is the bonding in the family will be very strong. A senior prominent family member who was the driving force of this Pawar family had suddenly departed. And my experience is that usually in regional party politics, what happens is if this kind of a death happens, rest of the family unites and forgets their differences. So you will see Sunetra Pawar and Supriya Sule coming together. You will see Sharad Pawar putting his retirement plans maybe on hold. We were predicting that he's likely to take a back seat and let Ajit Pawar drive the party. But now what will happen is Sharad Pawar will extend his tenure. Perhaps he will take a back seat, but he will keep guiding whoever is sitting in charge of NCP. My prediction is that Supriya Sule, Lok Sabha member of Baramati, NCP leader, may be asked to drive the party from here on. There's also Rohit Pawar, who's a young MLA, Ajit Pawar's nephew, who's in action. There are 2-3 others. But I think Praful Patel and others might not really, take a leadership role or take the driving seat. In such incidents, the party gets driven by emotions. I can predict to you that in the upcoming Jilla Parishad elections, the district council elections, there will be a huge sympathy wave in Western Maharashtra for the Pawar family, and they will suddenly do very well in those elections. Which they did not do in the recent municipal elections. So this will drive the party further for some time. And I think Supriya Sule, I can predict or foresee that Supriya Sule will be the one who will be driving the party for now.
Absolutely, yeah. And it looks like the case because she...
And then others supporting her.
Even today, everybody rushed to Supriya Sule, right? And, even for little things like logistics, it was 6 Janpath which was deciding. And that in some ways also showed us a glimpse of what is to come. Shekhar Iyer, what is your... what do you think is going to happen? What are your comments on the future of NCP? Also the fact that, there are certain other leaders apart from the family, who, be it Praful Patel or Sunil Tatkare or Dhananjay Munde, who are seen as loyalists of the Pawars, especially Ajit Pawar. What happens to those people and also what happens to the family? Do you see them getting closer?
No, they have already got closer. They have realized that how that future of NCP politics requires to stand together. Though Ajit Pawar did not acknowledge that much, even for the Pune elections, civic elections also, he kept saying, this is about the elections. We'll see later when the questions asked about, unification. But Sharad Pawar, being a very pragmatic leader, he would want that any maneuvers that take place now to bring about a sense of unity in the organization does not disturb NCP's participation in Mahayuti government. Because Pawar knows at this stage, it is very important that for the cadre and for other leaders, whether they belong to Ajit Pawar faction or their own, that they would like to get closer to power. Because without power, revival of NCP is very difficult in those areas. So I see a possibility where Sharad Pawar may himself initiate discussions with BJP, as both at the central level, at the state level, to see that the entire NCP, both the factions somehow get to have a more say in the power arrangement. That's number one. Number two, there are leaders already in the Ajit Pawar side who were of the view that, if it was getting difficult for NCP the way they were existing following these results, many of them were even thinking of whether they should have a more tighter embrace with the BJP. Because without power, it is very difficult for NCP to move ahead, both the factions included. Therefore, I see Sharad Pawar taking a very, very pragmatic approach towards the future. Absolutely. Rohit, very quick question, taking off from what Shekhar also said, the fact that BJP is also growing in these parts, although it was an NCP bastion and before that it was the Congress stronghold, do you also see workers having this dilemma now as to what really happens to their future?
See, the NCP has always been a power-friendly party, if I may put it in those words. You can see that Sharad Pawar is in the opposition or has been in the opposition when BJP is in power, but his relations with Prime Minister Narendra Modi have remained very friendly. You can see Sharad Pawar and,
in that context, Rohit, do you think Rohit Pawar is also inclined? He doesn't seem completely averse to the idea, isn't it?
So what you have seen, Vasudha, in the last 5-7 years is that though on public stage Sharad Pawar would criticize the BJP, etc., whenever Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Pune for any public function or anything, you would see Sharad Pawar on his stage, and both sitting together and discussing things and laughing and all of that. So when it comes to future, I think there will be more more of this scene where you will see Supriya Sule also maybe extending some kind of hand of friendship towards the BJP local leadership in Maharashtra, which you partly saw today also at the hospital. And you might see the NCP at least not being aggressive against the BJP. I'm not sure whether they will really go and join the alliance. I'm talking about Supriya Sule and Sharad Pawar. Another thing I can predict, and I'll end my narration with that, is that I don't see the NCP Ajit Pawar group walking away from Mahayuti in any case. They will not do that. Praful Patel, Sunil Tatkare, Chhagan Bhujbal, all these leaders will stay in their positions of power. They will be with the BJP. They will be in the Mahayuti Alliance and NDA, and they will be with the BJP. They will remain there. The question only remains about what Supriya Sule and Rohit Pawar and Sharad Pawar decide. And my prediction is that they might be soft on all this, and they might be friendly with the BJP, at least we can say, for the time being.
Absolutely. Very interesting insights from Baramati's cooperative belts to the corridors of power in Mumbai. Ajit Pawar's journey defined Maharashtra's alliance era in many ways. He has worked under several chief ministers from Vilas Rao Deshmukh to Prithviraj Chavan to Ashok Chavan to Devendra Fadnavis. Now, his death closes a chapter in state politics that's marked by ambition but also controversy.
Born on 22nd July 1959, Ajit Pawar was the nephew of veteran leader Sharad Pawar. He entered public life through the Sugar Cooperative Network, Maharashtra's traditional power nursery, before winning elections and rising rapidly within the Nationalist Congress Party. Holding portfolios like water resources, finance and planning, Ajit Pawar became known as a numbers man. Blunt, hands-on, and at times polarizing. Allies called him a doer. Critics questioned his methods. His political life was punctuated by dramatic turns. In November 2019, he briefly defected to form a surprise government with the BJP, a government that lasted just 80 hours. It was the first public crack in the NCP family. But the rupture became permanent in July 2023 when Ajit Pawar led a faction of MLAs to join the BJP-led government again, this time as Deputy Chief Minister. The move split the NCP down the middle. Months later, the Election Commission awarded his faction the party name and symbol, leaving Sharad Pawar's loyalists to rebuild under a new banner. Ajit Pawar's story was more than that of a powerful state leader. It was a mirror to India's changing politics, where alliances shift, families fracture, and survival demands reinvention. In life and in legacy, Ajit Pawar was never out of the game.
मेड इन इंडिया क्यों नहीं? हमारे पास क्या है? मस्टर्ड ऑयल. इट इज आवर फ्लैगशिप ऑयल.
और हमें गर्व है कि 1933 से हम पी मार्क कच्ची घानी मस्टर्ड ऑयल का उत्पादन कर रहे हैं. इस मूल्यवान स्वदेशी प्रोडक्ट को बनाने में हमने खुद को समर्पित किया है पीढ़ियों से.
माँ भी हमेशा पी मार्क मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी.
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में. पी मार्क द मस्टर्ड स्पेशलिस्ट सिंस 1933.
सरसों से सरसों.
आपको शायद पता नहीं होगा, अपार ने आईएनएस विक्रांत के लिए 150 से ज्यादा तरह के केबल्स बनाए हैं. देश के टॉर्पीडोस में भी हैं अपार के केबल्स. वंदे भारत भी अपार के केबल से ही स्पीड पकड़ती है और यही वायर्स और केबल्स हमारे घरों को भी पावर करती हैं. विश्वास इसमें अपार, तभी तो ये है देश का तार.
he is going to retire from active politics. In fact, he had tried retiring from it once, but then did not. He took back, he withdrew, NCP president's post as well. But unfortunately, as fate would have it, it was in fact Ajit Pawar's last election and last political journey. So yes, conspiracy theorists at it, but is there any truth to it? Not entirely certain. Investigation certainly on.
And we also spoke with the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and we asked him this question on what really happened mid-air that led to the crash, that led to the death of Ajit Pawar. Also, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra reacting to the untimely demise of Ajit Pawar. Let's listen in.
समूचे महाराष्ट्र में बहुत ही दुख का वातावरण तैयार हुआ है। हम सभी के लिए इस प्रकार के जननेता को खोना एक अपरिमित इस प्रकार की हानि है। व्यक्तिगत मेरे लिए वो एक बहुत ही दमदार और दिलदार इस प्रकार के मित्र थे और हम दोनों ने साथ में काफी संघर्ष का काल भी देखा है और अब दृढ़ता के साथ महाराष्ट्र के विकास में जब वो योगदान दे रहे थे और एक बहुत लंबी पारी वो खेलेंगे ऐसी परिस्थिति थी, ऐसे समय उनका निकल जाना मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इसके लिए हमारे पास कोई शब्द भी नहीं है।
All right, more reactions coming in.
Absolutely, and Ramdas Athavale, who in fact is an ally of the Mahayuti, he is a part of the Mahayuti, he is an ally with the NCP and the BJP and Eknath Shinde in Maharashtra. He is a Rajya Sabha member of Parliament. He too has now asked for an investigation. Let's listen in.
महाराष्ट्र के डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर जो अजीत पवार प्लेन हादसे में सर नहीं रहे सर, क्या कहेंगे?
तो अजीत पवार जी प्लेन के क्रैश से मतलब अजीत पवार जी का डेथ हुआ है। अजीत पवार जाने से महाराष्ट्र का एक बहुत बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है। हमारे महायुति का, हमारा एनडीए का जो वो मेंबर थे और उन्होंने मतलब महाराष्ट्र के लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया था और उनके जाने से हमारा भारी नुकसान हुआ है। हमें बहुत बड़ा धक्का बैठा है, बहुत ही बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है।
आपको लगता है जांच होनी चाहिए प्लेन हादसे को लेकर? जिस
हाँ, मतलब इसके अभी वो तो महाराष्ट्र का गवर्नमेंट जो है ये मतलब इंक्वायरी करेगी और जिस तरह ऐसा हुआ है ये तो अच्छी बात नहीं है, इसकी जांच भी होनी चाहिए।
The difference here is that while you had Mamta Banerjee suggesting some kind of conspiracy, hinting at something might be amiss, here Ramdas Athavale is saying that, well, it's a plane crash and it needs to be investigated by the government, but the idea of foul play being suggested at by Mamta Banerjee, that something is amiss, that Ajit Pawar was going to leave the Mahayuti. Nitin Raut of the Congress also making such a suggestion. We'll play that out in just a second as well. But interesting times. Of course, it is much, much too soon to be engaging in, debates like this, but that is the nature of our politics. The fact is that for a long time, this has been the one allegation against the BJP, that your allies cannot trust you, that you will first go for your allies again and again. In fact, recently, Shiv, when you had the AIADMK tying up with the BJP in Tamil Nadu, the example of Maharashtra was given. Absolutely. That look what they did to Uddhav Thackeray, that he was promised the chief minister's post, which was by the way denied, that he was promised the chief minister's post and then his party was broken and finished off, that the same thing was done to the NCP, where a family was split down the middle, and now the suggestion being made that the realization of what the BJP can do had dawned on the family, on the Pawar family, and they had reunited for one election. Maybe they were planning to leave the Mahayuti.
Too early even to come out with these statements. Right now, I think
they already have.
Yeah, but
that's politics for you.
Absolutely, but at a time like this, when you have the family even moving to Baramati, you have tall leaders from the NCP, you have even the civil aviation minister going towards Baramati. These comments emerging at this time. We have Saurabh,
and it's safe to say that at this point, the gloves are truly off.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to TMC.
insinuations, personal
And
attacks.
Let's be clear, guys.
Niceties have been thrown to
Indian
the air.
politics needs no introduction in how to get your hands a little bit dirty. We are in an election season. The gloves are off, as Padmaja rightly
Ahead of
said.
West Bengal elections.
Also, let's be very clear. Mamata Banerjee has issued the protocol niceties. Okay, a very, very heartfelt message has been issued by the Trinamool and by Mamata. But let's not forget that not only is politics cutthroat, but the very legacy of Ajit Pawar, the very details of his twists and turns in politics over the last few years has made made this very fertile ground for the kind of comments that we're hearing from people like Mamata Banerjee. So, while these may be conspiracy theories, and I agree with you, one shouldn't jump the gun on that aspect. It's very understandable that our politicians are leaping to take hold of this thread right now, because it gives opposition leaders a chance to say, this is what we've been saying about the BJP all along. Look how, to what
Ruthless
extremes
they
they can go if you don't toe the line or stay within the fold. I think that's what the insinuation here is. And it's very, I know we're calling.
Welcome back. The Pawar family is completely shaken at the sudden death of Ajit Pawar. Now, the monumental tragedy has united the Pawar family in this moment of loss. Here's a report.
Shock, grief, tears, disbelief in the extended Pawar family after the tragic and sudden death of Ajit Pawar in a plane crash in the home turf of Baramati. As the news flashed of Ajit's death, Patriarch Sharad Pawar, daughter Supriya Sule, and Ajit's wife Sunetra rushed to Baramati from Delhi, where they had come for the parliament session. A visibly shaken Sharad Pawar landed in a chopper in Baramati and straight away went to the hospital to receive his nephew's body. Ajit was the son of Sharad Pawar's elder brother. Sharad Pawar was the political mentor, guru and father figure to Ajit Pawar before their bitter split in 2023. Ajit's wife Sunetra also reached Baramati, grief-stricken and heartbroken at her personal loss. Ajit's nephew and Sharad Pawar faction MLA, Rohit, broke down as he made his way into the hospital. A distraught Supriya Sule, Ajit's cousin, also reached Baramati. An inconsolable sister, unable to accept that her brother was suddenly gone. Just last month, Supriya had shared heartwarming videos of Ajit dancing with his nephew Rohit Pawar at the wedding of Ajit's son, Jay. The family that had gone through a bitter split in 2023 had started to come together in the recent month. The two sides joined hands for the Maharashtra civic polls, and Supriya and Ajit jointly campaigned in Pimpri Chinchwad and Pune. There were growing talks of a merger in the near future, but destiny struck in its cruelest way. With Ajit Pawar's death, the Pawar family and the NCP are at a crossroads. Will the tragedy bring the house of Pawars together, or will it lead to a battle for control and supremacy? An NDTV Bureau report.
Well, the funeral of Ajit Pawar is scheduled to happen tomorrow. People are paying tributes to him. All of this happening in Baramati, a constituency that Ajit Pawar had a very important role in building. This is seen as a model constituency. The locals are paying tributes to their Dada, Ajit Pawar, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, who passed away today morning. Those visuals there of locals who have gathered for this grand cremation, this funeral that's expected to take place tomorrow. Several delegates are expected to take part in the last rites of Ajit Pawar. With that, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
US, Malaysia,
मेड इन इंडिया क्यों नहीं? हमारे पास क्या है? मस्टर्ड ऑयल. इट इज आवर फ्लैगशिप ऑयल.
और हमें गर्व है कि 1933 से हम पी मार्क कच्ची घानी मस्टर्ड ऑयल का उत्पादन कर रहे हैं. इस मूल्यवान स्वदेशी प्रोडक्ट को बनाने में हमने खुद को समर्पित किया है पीढ़ियों से.
माँ भी हमेशा पी मार्क मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी.
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में.
पी मार्क द मस्टर्ड स्पेशलिस्ट सिंस 1933.
सरसों से सरसों. He is going to retire from active politics. In fact, he had tried retiring from it once, but then did not. He took back, he withdrew, NCP president's post as well. But unfortunately, as fate would have it, it was in fact Ajit Pawar's last election and last political journey. So yes, conspiracy theorists at it, but is there any truth to it? Not entirely certain. Investigation certainly on.
And we also spoke with the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and we asked him this question on what really happened mid-air that led to the crash, that led to the death of Ajit Pawar. Also, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra reacting to the untimely demise of Ajit Pawar. Let's listen in.
समूचे महाराष्ट्र में बहुत ही दुख का वातावरण तैयार हुआ है. हम सभी के लिए इस प्रकार के जननेता को खोना एक अपरिमित इस प्रकार की हानि है. व्यक्तिगत मेरे लिए वो एक बहुत ही दमदार और दिलदार इस प्रकार के मित्र थे और हम दोनों ने साथ में काफी संघर्ष का काल भी देखा है और अब दृढ़ता के साथ महाराष्ट्र के विकास में जब वो योगदान दे रहे थे और एक बहुत लंबी पारी वो खेलेंगे ऐसी परिस्थिति थी. ऐसे समय उनका निकल जाना, मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इसके लिए हमारे पास कोई शब्द भी नहीं है.
All right, more reactions coming in.
Absolutely. And Ramdas Athavale, who in fact is an ally of the Mahayuti, he is a part of the Mahayuti, he is an ally with the NCP and the BJP and Eknath Shinde in Maharashtra. He is a Rajya Sabha member of Parliament. He too has now asked for an investigation. Let's listen in.
महाराष्ट्र के डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर जो अजीत पवार प्लेन हादसे में सर नहीं रहे सर, क्या कहेंगे?
तो अजीत पवार जी प्लेन के क्रैश से मतलब अजीत पवार जी का डेथ हुआ है. अजीत पवार जाने से महाराष्ट्र का एक बहुत बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है. हमारे महायुति का, हमारा एनडीए का जो वो मेंबर थे और उन्होंने मतलब महाराष्ट्र के लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया था और उनके जाने से हमारा भारी नुकसान हुआ है. हमें बहुत बड़ा धक्का बैठा है. बहुत ही बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है.
आपको लगता है जांच होनी चाहिए प्लेन हादसे को लेकर? जिससे
हाँ मतलब इसके अभी वो तो महाराष्ट्र का गवर्नमेंट जो है ये मतलब इंक्वायरी करेगी और जिस तरह ऐसा हुआ है ये तो अच्छी बात नहीं है. इसकी जांच भी होनी चाहिए.
The difference here is that while you had Mamata Banerjee suggesting some kind of conspiracy, hinting at something might be amiss, here Ramdas Athavale is saying that, well, it's a plane crash and it needs to be investigated by the government, but the idea of foul play being suggested at by Mamata Banerjee, that something is amiss, that Ajit Pawar was going to leave the Mahayuti. Nitin Raut of the Congress also making such a suggestion. We'll play that out in just a second as well. But interesting times. Of course, it is much, much too soon to be engaging in, debates like this, but that is the nature of our politics. The fact is that for a long time, this has been the one allegation against the BJP, that your allies cannot trust you, that you will first go for your allies again and again. In fact, recently, Shiv, when you had the AIADMK tying up with the BJP in Tamil Nadu, the example of Maharashtra was given. Absolutely. That look what they did to Uddhav Thackeray, that he was promised the chief minister's post, which was, by the way, denied, that he was promised the chief minister's post and then his party was broken and finished off, that the same thing was done to the NCP, where a family was split down the middle, and now the suggestion being made that the realization of what the BJP can do had dawned on the family, on the Pawar family, and they had reunited for one election, maybe they were planning to leave the
Perhaps
Mahayuti.
too early even to come out with these statements. Right now, I
well,
think
that is politics for you.
Yeah, but
that's politics for you.
Absolutely, but at a time like this, when you have the family even moving to Baramati, you have tall leaders from the NCP, you have even the Civil Aviation Minister going towards Baramati. These comments emerging at this time. We have Saurabh,
and it's safe to say that at this point the gloves are truly off.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to TMC
insinuations, personal attacks.
Let's be clear, guys.
Niceties have been thrown to the
Indian
air.
politics needs no introduction in how to get your hands a little bit dirty. We are in an election season. The gloves are off, as Padmaja rightly
ahead of
said.
West Bengal elections.
Also, let's be very clear. Mamata Banerjee has issued the protocol niceties. Okay, a very, very heartfelt message has been issued by the Trinamool and
Well, NCP founder Sharad Pawar has spoken for the first time after the death of Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra Ajit Pawar and also his nephew Ajit Pawar's death that happened today. Sharad Pawar has spoken on this. He has turned emotional. Let's listen in to that.
नुकसान झालं ते भरून निघणार नाही पण सगळ्याच गोष्टी आपल्या हातात असतात मी आज मीडियासोबत येणार नव्हतो परंतु काही विरुद्ध पक्षात हा अंगरात याच्यामागे काहीतरी राजकारण आहे अशा प्रकारची भूमिका कलकत्त्यावरून मांडली गेली. याच्यात राजकारण नाही, हा निवड अपघात आहे. त्याच्या यातना महाराष्ट्राला आम्हा सर्वांना सुचत असतं. कृपा करून इथं राजकारण आणू नये एवढंच सांगायचं.
NCP chief, NCP founder Sharad Pawar, they're ruling out any conspiracy angle to Ajit Pawar's death, the accident that caused his death. He has basically warned against any politics over the death of his nephew, although also the Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Sharad Pawar, has said that he has called Ajit Pawar a hard-working person, somebody who was sincere to his work, but he has also warned against any politics that could be played out over the death of his nephew. My colleague Saurabh, who's reporting from Baramati, joins us now. Saurabh, this is the first reaction that's coming in from Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar and Ajit Pawar shared a bittersweet relationship. It turned turbulent over the last few years. It was getting better in the last few months with both parties coming together for the elections in Pune. Now he's saying that he's warning against any politics that will be played out on the death of Ajit Pawar, saying that it was an unfortunate tragedy. And he has also praised Ajit Pawar, saying that he was a very hardworking leader. How do you see this?
Obviously, I mean, for the Pawar family, the loss is immense, but they would be upset by perhaps some of the politics around it, given the fact that there is, of course, this whole insinuation, rather, that's been going around since the morning. No one said it directly, but they made comments that seem to be some sort of insinuation. So Sharad Pawar's comments in that context is aimed at clearing the air, especially at a time where the sentiments are running high. Now, we are at the ground where people will pay respects to Ajit Pawar, and you can see this is the Pratishthan, the Vidya Pratishthan ground where huge crowds have gathered. Ajit Pawar's mortal remains will be brought here. The Pawar family members are here. The police, of course, will be giving a salute. But you look at these crowds, and this is, of course, the preparation for the salute that is going to take place in a short while from now. But look at the huge crowds that are there at the ground here also. Lots of emotional supporters who've turned up at the ground to pay their respects, respects to Ajit Pawar, who unfortunately died in that plane crash that took place this morning at the Baramati airport when his charter plane was landing at the Baramati airport.
Well, thank you, Saurav, for joining us. We'll keep coming back to you. Those visuals we're getting you from Baramati. The cremation, the funeral is expected to take place tomorrow. Several delegates are expected to take part in the last rites of Ajit Pawar. Family members of Ajit Pawar have already reached Baramati. Sharad Pawar, NCP founder, has reacted to his death in a very emotional manner. He has also warned against any politics that will be played out. He said that there's no conspiracy to his nephew's passing away. With that, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
Made in India क्यों नहीं? हमारे पास क्या है? Mustard oil. It is our flagship oil.
और हमें गर्व है कि 1933 से हम पी मार्क कच्ची घानी मस्टर्ड ऑयल का उत्पादन कर रहे हैं। इस मूल्यवान स्वदेशी प्रोडक्ट को बनाने में हमने खुद को समर्पित किया है पीढ़ियों से।
माँ भी हमेशा पी मार्क मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी।
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में। P Mark, the mustard specialist since 1933.
He is going to retire from active politics. In fact, he had tried retiring from it once, but then did not. He took back, he withdrew, NCP president's post as well. But unfortunately, as fate would have it, it was, in fact, Ajit Pawar's last election and last political journey. So yes, conspiracy theorists at it, but is there any truth to it? Not entirely certain. Investigation certainly on.
And we also spoke with the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and we asked him this question on what really happened mid-air that led to the crash, that led to the death of Ajit Pawar. Also, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra reacting to the untimely demise of Ajit Pawar. Let's listen in.
समूचे महाराष्ट्र में बहुत ही दुख का वातावरण तैयार हुआ है। हम सभी के लिए इस प्रकार के जननेता को खोना एक अपरिमित इस प्रकार की हानि है। व्यक्तिगत मेरे लिए वो एक बहुत ही दमदार और दिलदार इस प्रकार के मित्र थे और हम दोनों ने साथ में काफी संघर्ष का काल भी देखा है और अब दृढ़ता के साथ महाराष्ट्र के विकास में जब वो योगदान दे रहे थे और एक बहुत लंबी पारी वो खेलेंगे ऐसी परिस्थिति थी, ऐसे समय उनका निकल जाना, मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इसके लिए हमारे पास कोई शब्द भी नहीं है।
All right, more reactions coming in. Absolutely. And Ramdas Athavale, who in fact is an ally of the Mahayuti, he is a part of the Mahayuti. He is an ally with the NCP and the BJP and Eknath Shinde in Maharashtra. He is a Rajya Sabha member of Parliament. He too has now asked for an investigation. Let's listen in.
महाराष्ट्र के डिप्टी चीफ मिनिस्टर जो अजीत पवार प्लेन हादसे में सर नहीं रहे सर, क्या कहेंगे?
तो अजीत पवार जी प्लेन के क्रैश से मतलब अजीत पवार जी का डेथ हुआ है। अजीत पवार जाने से महाराष्ट्र का एक बहुत बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है। हमारे महायुति का हमारा एनडीए का जो मेंबर थे और उन्होंने मतलब महाराष्ट्र के लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया था और उनके जाने से हमारा भारी नुकसान हुआ है, हमें बहुत बड़ा धक्का बैठा है, बहुत ही बड़ा नेता हमने खो दिया है।
आपको लगता है जांच होनी चाहिए प्लेन हादसे को लेकर? जिस
हाँ, मतलब इसके अभी वो तो महाराष्ट्र का गवर्नमेंट जो है ये मतलब इंक्वायरी करेगी और जिस तरह ऐसा हुआ है ये तो अच्छी बात नहीं है, इसकी जांच भी होनी चाहिए।
The difference here is that while you had Mamata Banerjee suggesting some kind of conspiracy, hinting at something might be amiss, here Ramdas Athavale is saying that
welcome to the Southern View. Of course, all focus on tragedy, early morning tragedy at Baramati this morning, which left Ajit Pawar, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, dead in a plane crash. Vasudha, you've been tracking this all day and the political fallout, the emotional appeal that he had in Maharashtra. So many bits of breaking news that's coming in at the moment, Vasudha.
That's right, Veera. Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar of Maharashtra and 4 others have been killed after an aircraft carrying them crashed today morning in Baramati district. The small aircraft was a privately operated chartered plane that had departed from Mumbai. In fact, Ajit Pawar was travelling to Baramati, his constituency from Mumbai. He's travelling to his hometown for a series of political meetings. This is with regard to the Zilla Parishad elections that are coming up on the 5th of February. Now, the state funeral will happen tomorrow and several delegates are expected to take part in the last rites of Ajit Pawar. But it's a tragic day for people of the country, for people of Maharashtra. It's also a tragedy, Veera, that will have political ramifications for Indian politics, specifically for politics in Maharashtra. NDTV continues to report from ground, from Baramati, which is a Pawar stronghold.
Well, that's our top focus this evening. Vasudha will bring the latest that's coming in from Baramati. We will discuss the political fallout, but for the moment, the focus on the emotions after that tragedy, sudden as it was. We believe the flight did one landing attempt, did not work properly, and in the second landing attempt, it crashed. Those are the initial reports, of course. Investigations, the politics, the fallout of it, enormous across the board, especially for the NCP and for the faction of the NCP that Ajit Pawar led to be Deputy Chief Minister in Maharashtra, Vasudha.
That's right. In fact, there is an investigation team that's probing the matter, Veera, just as we speak. But yes, the funeral is expected to take place tomorrow around 11 a.m. is what we understand. The mortal remains of Ajit Pawar has been kept for public viewing. Local people are paying their tributes. Remember, this is a constituency, Veera, Baramati, that was developed as a model constituency, and Ajit Pawar had a large role in this. He's been a multiple-term legislator from the same place. He's been an MP from Baramati. In fact, he was an MP even before Sharad Pawar became an MP from there. He vacated his seat for his uncle, with whom he shared a very important bittersweet relationship, something that turned turbulent over the last few years, but was also they were also mending that relationship, like we discussed in many of our shows during the PMC elections. But yes, now Ajit Pawar is no more. Before we get to the details of the story, here are the headlines. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar is no more. He has died in a plane crash in Baramati, the stronghold of the Pawars. He was going to Baramati from Mumbai to address public meetings. Warring Pawar family unites in grief. Supriya Sule, Baramati MP, in tears at hospital. Patriarch Sharad Pawar also went to the site of the accident. He was also seen at the hospital, shattering images of Pawar family. Ajit Pawar's funeral is likely to be held tomorrow at 11 a.m. Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra's last rites will be held with full state honours. Top leaders of all parties are expected to attend the last rites. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde have met the grieving Pawars. They have met not just Supriya Sule, the MP of Baramati, cousin of Ajit Pawar, also the wife of Ajit Pawar, Sunetra Pawar. You can see the visuals there, both Devendra Fadnavis, the Chief Minister, and the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde. Prime Minister Modi, opposition leaders have condoled the death of Ajit Pawar. They've called it shocking. Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has stoked a fresh controversy, asking for an investigation into the death.
Well, condolence messages pouring from across the political spectrum, perhaps a reflection, Vasudha, of the importance of the Pawar family in Indian politics overall. There are connections across the board for the Pawar family as far as Indian politics concerned, not just as far as the power center of Maharashtra, but what next for the Ajit Pawar faction of the NCP. Of course, as you just mentioned, the family itself, the family dynamic.